Welcome back to Legion Builds, where I show you how to bring your favorite characters into Dungeons & Dragons. Today we are looking at bringing the Dark Knight himself, Batman, into D&D, but not just any Batman. You see, when I began prepping this build, I realized that each portrayal of Batman is different. For example, the Arkham video game series shows Batman grow progressively more reliant on tech and armor by comparison to Batman the Animated Series or the more traditional comic book Batman. So I thought it would be fun to do different Batman videos based on the different portrayals. So today we'll be focusing on one of my favorite portrayals, the animated series Batman. Our goals today will be simple. Firstly, you are a sneaky bastard. I do a lot of stealth builds. I really enjoy my job here. Next, we need to give you the skills to outsmart a rogues gallery full of people with severe personality disorders that just so happen to be some of the smartest people alive. Seriously, you fight a psychologist who studies fear and chemicals, a geneticist who turned himself into a bat, and a cryocist who is a living ice cube. Finally, we need to give you the ultimate hand-to-hand combat skills, a true master of the martial arts. We're using standard point array because I don't want to roll for you. I do enough math on this channel as it is. We're multi-classing, so keep minimums in mind, but each of the classes kind of uses the same stat, so it's going to be easy. Let's start things off with Wisdom at 15. You know how to dodge a punch, have amazing self-control, and notice your surroundings at all times. Dex is next at 14. You are sneaky and very agile. Intelligence is 13. You are a detective. Con is next at 12. You do a lot of push-ups. Wait, I think that's another Batman. Never mind that one. Charisma is 10. You're scary, but beating criminals up as a hobby and randomly appearing out of nowhere really helps with that low charisma. And we're gonna be dumping strength. I don't really want to do that. In all honesty, I don't like these stats, with the exception of like the first two. But if I roll for stats or use point buy, some of you will not be able to use this build, so I have to stick with standard point array to help outline this better. Batman is a human. I'm really tired of making humans, but this comes with the territory. Variant Human grants a free skill and feat, along with stat adjustments. Place +1 into Dex and Wisdom. Athlete adds +1 to Dex. Standing up after laying prone only uses 5 feet of movement. Climbing costs no extra movement, and you can make a running long or high jump after moving only 5 feet. Basically, this whole feat should just be called parkour. For your free skill, take Perception. Your background worked actually taking one that's from a book. Investigator from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. This gives you proficiency in Thieves' Tools, Disguise Kit, 2 language, and the skills Investigation and Insight. Now normally I don't tell you what background to take, as you can customize the background with whatever skills you want, but Van Richten's Guide gives us a perfect one that's 100% Batman. Also Sherlock Holmes, but that's another video. We're going to start things off with Monk. Take the skills Acrobatics and Stealth. Level 1 monks have Unarmored Defense. Now when you're not wearing armor, your AC adds your Dex and Wisdom, giving you an AC of 16. You also know Martial Arts. Your unarmored attacks will do damage equal to a Martial Arts dice, which starts off at a D4. Finally, you can turn all simple weapons and your fists into Dex-based attacks. Your batarangs will be darts and daggers, by the way. You also make a bonus attack with your offhand if you're not holding anything in it. Level 2 monks gain unarmored movement. Now when you're not wearing armor, your speed increases. You now have a total of 45 feet of movement. Ki allows you to perform special abilities by burning key points. Your total number of points equals your monk level, so these can easily be burned. Flurry of Blows lets you make 2 attacks with a single bonus action unarmed strike. Patient Defense turns dodge into a bonus action. Step of the Wind lets you take dash and disengage as bonus actions and doubles your jump distance. Heads up, you're not going to be wanting to take these a lot, as you will want to save your key points for the next level. Don't worry, we'll get stuff that's better. You also gain Dedicated Weapon. This allows you to turn one weapon into a monk weapon as long as it lacks the heavy and special properties. Doing this will now allow your attack to be dex-based, but there's one catch. You need to be proficient with the weapon, which you have very little in the way of weapon proficiencies, and they're all monk weapons right now. Don't worry, we'll fix that in a few levels. Level 3 monks can now deflect missiles. Now you can use your reaction to lessen damage of projectiles that hit you by 1d10 plus your dex plus your monk level. If you reduce the damage to 0 and have an open hand, You catch the projectile and yeet it at your enemy. You also gain your subclass, and now it's time to work on stealth. Way of the Shadow Monks are experts in matters of darkness. You can now spend 2 key points to cast certain spells. Darkness creates a 15-foot radius sphere of pure darkness that cannot be seen through without magic. Dark Vision grants you the ability to see in dark. We'll give you something better later. Pass Without a Trace adds +10 to your stealth and any creature near you for 1 hour. Silence creates a 20-foot radius sphere that mutes all sound within it, including magical sounds, and stops spellcasters from using spells that require verbal components. You also gain the cantrip Minor Illusion. This creates a sound or image within 30 feet to distract your enemies so you can get the drop on them. Alright, time to jump classes for more stealth. Heading over to Rogue grants you a new skill. Take Survival to track your enemies. Level 1 rogues gain Expertise. You can now choose 2 skills and double your proficiency bonus for them. Let's bump up Stealth and Perception. You also get Sneak Attack. Now when you make an attack with a ranged or finesse weapon, have advantage or are within 5 feet of an ally, you can add bonus damage to the attack. Now, we need to clarify something. Dex-based attacks are not finesse. This means your martial arts cannot benefit from Sneak Attack, unless your DM says so. Little bit of good news though, darts and daggers are finesse, so you can use them if you want. Level 2 rogues can make cunning actions. Now, dash, disengage, and hide are bonus actions for you, meaning Step of the Wind is only good for doubling jump distance, which is still good, but it frees up your key points. Time to jump classes again. This time we're taking Ranger and you get another skill. Take Intimidation. Also good news, you are now proficient in all martial weapons, which Batman is. So you can now wield a katana, scimitar, ninjato, which you actually can already do because monks can wield short swords. And because of your dedicated weapon, katanas can now be dex-based. Still not finesse, but your dex is still better than strength. Luckily, short swords and scimitars are finesse. Level 1 Rangers receive Deft Explorer. As you level up, this will grant new features, starting with Canny. You now get expertise in one skill of your choice. I say Insight, but Intimidation or Investigation works just as well. But Insight will be good for later on. Favored Foe adds more damage to your attacks. Now when you hit a target with an attack, you can mark them and deal an extra d4 of damage. This will grow over time and you can do it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Now there is a downside to this as it is a concentration ability, which means concentration spells like all the ones you got with Shadow Monk can't be used with it. So use this wisely. Level 2 Rangers gain a fighting style. Druidic Warrior gives you 2 Druid cantrips. For these cantrips, Thorn Whip will be your bat grappling hook. I really love this spell. I used it for Scorpion and Silent Bob, my favorite. Target one creature within 30 feet of you, make a melee spell attack, using your wisdom, not your dex, dealing 2d6 piercing damage on a hit, and if the creature is large or smaller, you can pull them 10 feet closer to you. Control Flames lets you manipulate fire for 1 hour. You can move the flame 5 feet, double or halve its light, create shapes, or snuff it out. Guess which one you want to do. You're also actually a spellcaster now and gain ranger spells. Long Strider adds 10 feet to your movement for 1 hour, bringing your movement to 50 feet. Snare creates a magical trap that hangs those it catches in the air until it's dispelled. Level 3 Rangers gain their subclass, and it just so happens there is a Batman subclass. Gloomstalkers are stealth expert that utilize darkness to their advantage and understand also how to use fear as a weapon. Dread Ambusher adds your wisdom to your initiative rolls. It also increases your movement by 10 feet on your first turn, and it grants you an additional weapon attack on the first turn as well that deals an extra d8 of damage on a hit. Now this is a weapon attack, which means once again your unarmed strikes will not work with it. But as with sneak attack, your batarangs will work. So combine this with sneak attack and deal some serious damage on your first turn. Umbral Sight gives you 60 feet of dark vision, but more importantly, you can now bypass other creatures' dark vision. When in darkness, you are now invisible to any creature that requires dark vision to see in the dark. Now this doesn't work on creatures with blind sight, true sight, or the ability to negate darkness altogether like Devil's Sight. You also receive Gloomstalker spells. Disguise Self, cloaks you in illusion for 1 hour and makes you appear as someone else. This is an illusion, which means if they become suspicious or touch you, they can see through it. For your new ranger spell, Ensnaring Strike allows you to wrap your enemies up. When you hit with a weapon attack, you force a strength save, restraining the creature on a failure. While you maintain this spell, the creature takes 1d6 piercing damage at the start of each of its turns. They can use their action, or someone else can use an action, to try and break free on their turns. Throw a batarang that explodes and wraps up a criminal to serve some justice. Have you ever thought that maybe spending your wealth to violate the rights of criminals might be the wrong way to help Gotham? No? Okay, I get it. After all, you live in a town where there's a serial killer clown that, for some odd reason, has yet to get the death penalty no matter how many people he kills. Level 4 Rangers gain our first ability score improvement. We are now 9 levels in and we need to increase your damage, so we're going to be taking a feat. Fighting Initiate grants you a new fighting style. Unarmed fighting turns your unarmed strikes into either a D6 if you are holding a weapon in one hand, or a D8 if you don't have any weapon at all. You can also cause 1d4 damage to a creature you grapple. Now, this doesn't change your martial arts dice. You just do better with unarmed strikes now. Level 5 Rangers now have extra attack. You can now attack twice with a single action. You also gain second level spell slots. Let's free up a few more key points and grab Pass Without a Trace. Why are we taking a spell we can cast without spell slots? We need the key points for more important things. I'll explain in the end. Trust me, this is really good. You also get a new Gloomstalker spell, Rope Trick. This allows you to magically enchant a rope to rise 60 feet and create a small hiding spot at the top in the form of a small extra-dimensional space for 1 hour. This space is 3x5 and is invisible to anyone outside of it. From there, you can pull the rope in and wait for your enemies to pass under you, jumping out to attack. Now, you will fall 60 feet, but don't worry, we'll get something in a minute to fix that. Level 3 Rogues receive Steady Aim. Now, as a bonus action, you can grant yourself advantage on your next attack, but you can't move the turn you use it or the turn after. You also receive your subclass, and we're taking the Detective subclass, Inquisitive. Ear for Deceit makes insight rolls you make to determine if someone is lying never lower than 8. Eye for Detail makes perception and investigation checks a bonus action. Insightful Fighting gives you a new way to gain sneak attack without allies or advantage. As a bonus action, you can force a contest between your insight and a target's deception. If you succeed, you can now use your sneak attack against the target for 1 minute. You still need a finesse or ranged weapon, and I'm sorry to say, if you're at disadvantage, this isn't going to work. Your sneak attack is also now 2d6. Level 4 Monks gain another ability score improvement. Bring your dex up to 18 and now have an AC of 17. Slow Fall is going to work great with Rope Trick. Now, as a reaction, you can reduce falling damage by 5 times your monk level. Now, this just means you're reducing damage by 20 right now, which is pretty good, and we're going to make it a little bit better. Level 5 monks can now perform a Stunning Strike. Now, when you make a melee attack, you can spend 1 key point to force a con save. On a failure, the target is stunned until the end of your next turn. Your martial arts dice are now 1d6. This means your batarangs now gain that damage. Level 6 monks receive Key Empowered Strikes. Your unarmored attacks are now magical. Shadow monks receive Shadow Step. Now, when in dim light or darkness, you can use your bonus action to teleport to an unoccupied space you see in dim light or darkness. After doing this, your first melee attack has advantage. Finally, your movement is now 45 feet. Level 6 Rangers gain their next ability from Deft Explorer, Roving. Your speed is increased by 5 feet, bringing your total movement to 50 feet. You now also have a swimming and climbing speed equal to your walking speed. Your favored foe is also now a d6 of damage. Level 7 Rangers of the Gloomstalker subclass gain Iron Mind. You are now proficient in wisdom saves. For your spell, Fog Cloud creates a 20-foot radius sphere up to 120 feet from you. You can add levels to increase the radius by 20 feet per level. Level 8 Rangers receive our final ability score improvement. Let's cap off Dex for an AC of 18. By the way, I should tell you, I'm not talking about certain abilities Rangers get that doesn't fit with this build, but there are more abilities. Level 9 Rangers now get 3rd level spell slots. For this spell, it's time to unleash a flurry of batarangs. Conjure Barrage magically duplicates a thrown weapon you use. Throwing a batarang, you create a 60-foot cone. Each creature in the cone must make a dex save or take 3d8 damage as they are shredded by your little bat weapons. For your Gloomstalker spell, Fear makes your enemies scream and run away. Literally, each creature in a 30-foot cone must make a wisdom save or become terrified of you, dropping everything they're holding and running away from you, only making another save when they are no longer in line of sight. I would suggest not allowing them to break line of sight, as they can now only use dash actions and can attack. Heads up, this is a concentration, but who cares, they can't fight back. Level 10 Rangers gain their final ability from Deft Explorer, Tireless. As an action, you grant yourself temporary HP to 1d8 plus your Wisdom modifier. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and gain back all uses at the end of a long rest. This also allows you to reduce exhaustion levels with short rests, which makes sense because do you actually sleep? Caffeine budget must be through the roof. Nature's Veil lets you, as a bonus action, become invisible until the start of your next turn. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Our final level is level 11. Rangers and Gloomstalkers receive Stalker's Fury. Now on each of your turns, when you miss with a weapon attack, you can make an additional attack as part of the same action. For your final spell, take what you want. There are some good choices like Cure Wounds, Hail of Thorns, Jump, Magic Weapon, and more. Let's dive in and look at this build. You are Vengeance. You have up to 6 possible attacks at any given time. Your unarmed attacks are dealing 1d8 plus 5 and are magical. You can deal bonus weapon damage and sneak attack damage, all while giving yourself advantage. You are the Knight. Seriously, did you think I was going to pass up saying the line? You are invisible in darkness, can see through darkness, can make yourself invisible for the hell of it, snuff out fire, create darkness. You can also create places to hide, and your stealth is anywhere between plus 17 to plus 27 before you roll. Finally, you are Batman. Your overall health will be around 150. Your speed is 50 feet walking, climbing, and swimming, 100 feet with a dash. Your insight is adding plus 15, and you can never be lower than 23 when determining if someone is lying to you. Your insight also allows you to use sneak attack against an enemy for 1 minute. You can move between shadows, disguise yourself, and cause fear. You're also a Mage Slayer. Yeah, remember when I said you need to conserve key points? Yeah, this is why. By using Silence and Stunning Strike together, you can disable a spellcaster, leaving them vulnerable to your massive damage. Downside: your key points are limited, as you only have 6. Another reason why we wanted to free up some of the options. Your stats really aren't great. Using standard point array, not very good at all. We only got 3 ability score improvements, and I had to use one of them to get your melee damage up, which has left your spell DC low with a 17 at the end of this build. Finally, you have a lot of redundant abilities and abilities that aren't fully maximized. It's a bit messy. In the end, while it's messy, this build is scary. Utilizing all your stealth and utility capabilities, you should always have the upper hand. Whether it's an attack or retreat, you come out on top. I really enjoyed this build, though I will admit it falls into my general preferred playstyle. If a game has stealth or I can complete a mission with stealth, I'm in. If you like stealth, go ahead and check out my Michael Myers, Riddick, or Naughty Bear builds. Thanks for joining again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss a single new build each week.